and welcome to Conversations with Reverend G. I am Reverend Grenetta Mason, aka Reverend G, and I'm here live every Monday night at 8 p.m. on WEMS Radio. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, and Twitter. So join me here every Monday night with conversations with guests from all walks of life with different perspectives. We come together and we talk about life, we talk about love, and we talk about spirituality. We talk about spirituality from a practical point of view. How does it support you in everyday life? What practices are your go to practices when you need support, clarity? Just when you're feeling down and you want to find a bit of joy or some happiness, what things bring you that? We have gone through so much with COVID, and it's just, I don't know, there's just so much uncertainty that we look for things that can support us through all that. I talk about the spiritual toolkit. The spiritual toolkit are those practices that support you. My guests have been on and we've talked about different type of creative practices that support you. I love to sing. People play instruments. There's so many ways that we use tools to support us to get it through this time. I'm every day on Facebook with inspirational messages as Rev Grenetta Mason on Facebook. I'm Rev Grenetta on Instagram. And I have inspirational messages every day just to support you in getting through your day. Because my goal is really to support you in accessing the joy that's available to you and living your best life with grace and ease. Tonight, I'm excited to have two great, wonderful women on my show, Charzette Torres and Danielle Johnson. They are both CEOs, co producers, writers, musicians, just creatives. And I'm excited that they are coming on tonight to share with us some of the things that they're working on now. And we'll just talk about what's gotten them through these times. I looked today, I was like, oh my God, is COVID coming back? What are we going to do? I get a call from work. You've been exposed. I'm like, oh no, right? So it's just a continuous kind of uncertainty. And so then all of a sudden I was feeling away and I was like, oh, that's what it is. So I had to bring myself back. I had to recognize that something was really bothering me. And then I realized, oh, you've been exposed. It's like not a good thing to hear. So I work myself on, what practices support me through those times. So I'm here tonight. I'm back. I'm ready because I was able to shift. Welcome, Danielle and Tarzan.
Thank you very much for having us on the show.
Hey, I started to get carried away, right? I was like, and I was going like, oh no, I've been exposed, right? So I think my mind just kind of went somewhere, but I'm excited to have you guys on the show, right? And I know that you guys have worked together on projects together, right? But as I was reading about you, Danielle, I was interested in talking to you first about your music career, right? I understand you from the Boogie Down Bronx, right? And that you came from uh, a musician family, jazz musician, played drums at 10. You play like what, 10 instruments? So give us
We have so many instruments here and storage is unreal.
Yeah,
some
yeah.
insight into your early life as in the music world and where you are today.
Oh, okay. Well, um, my father uh, grew up in Harlem, lived on 145th Street. He was exposed to the bebop era,
Mm,
a lot of jazz.
mhm,
He even partied with Nina Horn and so
mhm,
on.
mhm,
And he used to play drums. So I get my musical inspiration, from my father. And so, I played the drums, I played the guitar, and even took professional lessons um, from a school teacher friend of my mother's.
Mm-hmm.
And he became my musical mentor
Mm-hmm.
as I, grew up. And music to me was very important um, because it helped me, especially as I moved through my career and began working in law enforcement
Mm-hmm.
with the New York City Department of Correction,
Okay.
um, and also joining the military as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was combat veteran of Desert Storm, Desert Shield. So a lot of stressful
Mm-hmm.
situation
Mm-hmm.
in my life. So music really played a lot in helping me decompress. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, especially every day going in and out of the facilities.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I did play with some bands
Mm-hmm.
because that's how you can improve your musical talents by playing with other
Mm-hmm.
people. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because my early life I just kept it confined just to myself, just for
Oh, okay.
enjoyment. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
only because I was bashful and shy.
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, I would be in the basement playing, and people would, my mother would have guests, and they would come down, and then I just stop, and she's like, "Why are you
Mm-hmm.
stopping?" Like, because you got somebody with you.
Right?
I wouldn't play unless, yeah, because I was
Mm-hmm.
that shy, and so,
Mm-hmm.
I would play in front of my family,
Right.
but
Okay.
it was outside people, so I had to get out of that shyness,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Mm-hmm.
that's why I had to force myself to, play with other people to get that fear out of um, opening up and letting people see my
Mm-hmm.
talents.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and today my talents have brought me to something we'll get into later, but
Mm-hmm.
um, we did do a film short
Okay.
of a project we've been working on. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was able to display my talents and do all the musical background music for
Okay.
that short. So
Well,
that's what
we
my
can,
music is.
is
So,
it
yeah, for
right?
today.
Well, we
Yeah.
can move
Yeah.
right into Jillian's peak and
Well,
um
yeah,
Tarzette. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, because that's
Julian
what the
Peak.
music is for, right?
Because when you meet more correction people and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, they months and stuff. I'm an outgoing person, as you
Mm-hmm.
know me. I'm out, I'm hustling, I'm meeting people. And
Mm-hmm.
when I saw she was doing her music, it's like all this music is here, but it's not getting out. So that's what
Mm-hmm.
she learns from me to get out and network. Most
Mm-hmm.
correction, they don't want to network with people.
Mm-hmm.
And because she shot some music on this computer, I said, let's do something with this music. Get out and networking. And with Jill and Pete, keep working. Like I said, wanted me to do a book. But she told me, you know how business I am. Let's do TV. Did I
Mm-hmm.
know how to do TV? No.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the connection I made and my learning, not only just learning in a book but getting out, I learned by joining New York Women Film, Film Independent, and Gotham. But they still don't teach you how to do a television or movie. Meanwhile, she was working, and then I got half of the money to do it, really most of the money. And I
Mm-hmm.
did it by learning and studying the entertainment business about
Mm-hmm.
getting everything copyright.gov. And I told her, look, we need to get your music out.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to do the thing and you're going to be the musical director because within TV, there's always music coming.
Right.
And so that's how I got out when I went to Amarama. It was a Sony guy there. We got to go out. It's more just being in the house and
Mm-hmm.
staying there. If you don't get out and network, no one knows what you do. And I'm the networker. I'm
Mm-hmm.
the one to make things move.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how her music get out because she was talented creating music.
Mm-hmm.
So let's copyright your stuff. Let's get it out and going. You've been doing this for years because she's a good musician that knows notes and write and can create. That's what I am. I am a creator. I
Mm-hmm.
am a great creator that
Mm-hmm.
create things. And when I
Mm-hmm.
had my first stroke, it was like they were like, "You gonna paint?" I was like, "What?" So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I got into the painting.
Mm-hmm.
Besides exhibiting my photography, so you
Mm-hmm.
gotta be able to get out your space and move forward. And that's something I'm blessed for, having my business, being a photographer, shooting many people, and not being in one closed environment. And it helps me to grow and move things forward. And anybody around me, I want to help them move their self forward. And that's what life is about, us moving forward. And I didn't know how I was going to do the movie. I got all the information
Mm-hmm.
from New York women and different filmmakers, and we went out and met Cheryl DeVry,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nunez, and Ava
Mm-hmm.
people, and they said, "We know who you are. We've been following you." And
Wow. Okay.
so by just going out and networking and having the people
Mm-hmm.
know you. Like Ava, she keep on staring at Danielle. I said, you probably saw her in prison. And
Mm-hmm.
so you don't know the people when you're networking, how you connect with them. That's a great thing about being a connector. And
You know
so,
what's interesting
but
and that comes to mind for me is Danielle. So it's like I see these two lives, all this music in you, and you were shy and you didn't want to put it out. Then you pursued another career. You stayed in corrections for like how many years, right?
30 years. 30
30
years.
years, right? And with all
mhm,
this music in you, and how has the transition been to where now? Because I think of like military and correction is like doom, doom, boom. And then, and music is like freeing and free flowing, So, how has that transition been for you to really step into your creativity? As she said, she wanted you to bring all that out. Talk about what that's been like for you, because I think about people who may are correction officers or doing whatever they're doing, but they have so much creativity inside of them, right? And then how to get that out. So talk about what happened for you and where you are now with being creative.
Well, time, right? Because you talk about
Yeah,
right,
that's
because
true.
you have more time
Mm-hmm.
to focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew when I retired in 2017.
Okay.
So now I have more time to focus on my music and my own creative sound.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the beginning when you start music, you really try to emulate some of the musicians
Mm-hmm.
that you admire.
Mm-hmm.
But now you have to develop your own type of style and your own type of sound. So it really comes down to having more time. There's
Mm-hmm.
very little time to focus on that creativity to where I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew once I retired I
Mm-hmm.
would be able to do that. you
Mm-hmm.
know
yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm from Detroit, listen to music since I was little. And when I came here, I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Do you know this musician? How come you can write and you know notes?
Mm-hmm.
Start writing music."
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm what they call more a historian and producer, because the way
Mm-hmm.
I was raised on time with music. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, "Do you know this artist? Do you know how they did this?" So for her to create her own music, and that's what we would be in a corner singing in Detroit. So I know music,
Mm-hmm.
music, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she
Mm-hmm.
said, "You like a historian, you like a producer." Yes. So I'm producer. I said, "You gonna do this for the movie and stuff like that, and be over the musical direction to get her music out, for her to start creating, because as a creator, I've been creating all my life,
Mm-hmm.
all
Mm-hmm.
my life. That's
And that
what
was your
I'm
straight
telling you. That's
focus,
what I
though.
know.
You were as a creator. That's great that you were able to create. You know what I mean? Your life set it up for
Yeah.
you where you were able to be a photographer and music and writing and all those things. So you were able to embrace all of that. Whereas,
Yep.
there's sometimes that mix because I like to sing and I sing in choirs, right? And I like to do comedy, but I also have to work. I work too, right? So,
We might ask you to sing.
no, no, so it's just like that mix, really being able to have your life. And I always say live your best life. And for me, it's a combination of all of that, right? Enjoying
Yep.
your
Yep.
creative pursuits and just taking care of your life. Um,
Yep.
Tell me about, well, let's tell everybody about Julian's Peak. And one thing that came to mind for me is as Black women producers, writers, what was it like to get this project off the ground?
It took time and it was a very challenging, very challenging. While she was work, I'm trying to scratch my hair. That's why my hair ain't got no hair in it. But I said, I'm gonna figure this out. Not gonna let nobody stop me. I had to join New York Women, and that's how we met Ava and them. I said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we're meeting the people, but how do people really make a film?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes to African American. See,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have our friends that can take the camera. And
Right.
so we've been through a lot of challenges that we had to deal with. The first was raising the funds.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was like we my main thing that everybody must have a contract we work with. So everybody know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I got an entertainment lawyer. So everything with point blank. Everybody know what they're doing. They know we got a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured it wouldn't be no problems. But to get people to sign that contract, especially of our color, us,
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
was a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had got the first film team. Remember when soap opera people they was laying off? So I
Yeah.
said, hey, let's go get them.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, me and Danielle said, we have a lawyer. They look at us as black people. You ain't got no lawyer. And
Mm-hmm.
then they tried to tell me sign this contract. And I said, no, I'm going to let my lawyer look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted what? 100%? They
Seems
wanted
like a
100%.
husband, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Jill Pete. And I handed it to Laura. She said, she must be stupid. Do
Mm.
she know who I am?
Right.
And she said, I see New York. She was the number one lawyer. And she kept on saying, why you give it to your lawyer? You're supposed to take it to a notary public. And the Lord called her. So
Mm-hmm.
here we go, sis in the seat. So the money we had to film, we got to pay the lawyer, right?
Mm. Wow. Yeah.
And so she did assistant seats. Then we had a writer that refused, because the Lord said everybody gonna sign a contract before they start. So
Mm-hmm.
he refused to sign the contract. He was supposed to help us write the script. So she
Okay.
did another assistant. So the first money we had is going to a lawyer. Okay?
Mm.
And the film people said, the first film people said, oh, we're writers. No, we paid you to be
Mm.
advise us. And
Mm-hmm.
that was $2,500. So
Wow.
you can see how our money is going to
Wow.
film the first short.
Wow.
And then dealing with all that legal stuff, I was like, okay, now we ain't got no money to film. But I was
Right.
happy that we had the money. I ain't thinking that it
Mm-hmm.
would be used for legal stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
having the legal stuff is the best thing.
Right.
And
Right.
Laura made sure she copyright. We got copyright Gov, Jill and Pete. There go money legal.
Right.
Everything went to legal.
Right.
And then she made sure that everything was a Jill and Pete LLC. So
Mm-hmm.
that protected us. So we was known as you don't want to mess with those two because
Right.
you can't steal from us.
Mm-hmm. Right,
So
because you
now
know
it's like,
everything. So it was interesting to me because the first thing you said was about the money, right? And
yeah,
raising the funds, right? What tips? I get what you said that having a lawyer is very key and very important when you're setting this up. But what kind of tips or things can you give around getting those funds? Because I know we don't have people like you said that can just throw money to us. They go make this film, right?
Right.
How did you
Like
get your money?
Charles Leslie at the gay gallery, Charles Leslie, he knew us, and he said we need to raise you guys some money.
Well, the first thing, you know, you have to get other people to believe in your project like you do. You know, they have to see your vision like you do, that there's a possibility. And normally with any new project, whether it's writing a scripted project or someone trying to patent some new electronic idea, who's the first people that we pitch the idea to and lean on, and his families and friends. And so they were our first contributors, because everything you do is going to cost money. Everything you do. Whether it's a networking meeting where you paying for the lunch, or the brunch, or the dinner,
get someone to invest in your project,
make it in your marketing deck. If you bring on, an extra person to help format the marketing deck where you have to pay for, down to your logo, getting a graphics artist designer, that costs money. And we make posters and
money, business
cards. So all of that costs money. And it's more difficult for people who don't have their foot already in the door,
like us.
And what I'm talking about is, for example, if you look at Shannon Rhimes, right? And she had 3 shows running at the same time, making ABC a lot of money, right? So where did she start from? The writing room, right? Where she's just a footstep away from that executive where she can pitch something to, right? Wade, same thing. Where did she start? In a writing room. And she collaborated. I forgot the gentleman. They wrote that one episode for his show that got her award.
Number one, right, and really that should have been
Quentin Brunson. Same thing. I mean, I love Albert Elementary, but even though she did some internet shows and stuff like that, videos, and that then got her into a writing room, you see? And so now you are close enough, but take that away for people like us, who don't have, so it's a lot of time networking and trying to get to know people, somebody who can know somebody, that may be interested, and so on. So it is a lot of work, because we could easily, at the time when the internet opened up, and a lot of people found it where, I don't need a middle person, right? Same thing with music, right? I can produce my own stuff, instead of waiting to try to get to a producer who works for a record company. Now everybody can put, it's oversaturated with so much stuff, right? Everybody has the music and stuff up. So there was a time that was for creative film ideas, right? That you go, but that was the way you was gauged,
right?
How many followers you have, etc., etc., etc.
And stuff up once a week.
And you put a lot of work in it, and hopefully someone would grab it and You know, because that was one of the questions we used to run into all the time.
Mhm.
Like, oh, how many followers you have? You know,
Why do you put it up there?
you know, and
Right.
stuff like that. So yeah,
It's
it's
different
a
now.
lot of
Yeah.
work. You want to talk about faith?
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
and you want to
Faith.
talk about faith, you got to have a lot of faith and a lot of prayer.
Mhm.
Right. So what I did with the internet, Instagram, I follow Ava, I follow Cheryl DeBray. So when we met them in New York College, they said, "We know who you are." I would take their post and put in my post and make a comment. I'm like, "What you mean? You said Jillian P." They knew who we are because we was in New York Women in Film. We go out and see their films. You know, they have small private viewers.
Mhm.
We go out and see their viewers, and they knew who our names by
Okay.
me just posting stuff on
On
Jill
the-
and Pete about them. And they
And
said,
it's
"We want you to
interesting
get your stuff up."
the way everything has changed now and the impact of the internet. As you
Right.
said, how many likes, how often people see you, how much
Yep.
energy and time you put into the internet. It wasn't like that before, right? And I'm
No,
old school, right? I'm,
No,
I'm
no, that's
getting
what I'm
with
saying.
it,
That's
right?
too much work.
It's a
It's too
lot
much
of
work. I,
it's so much,
all
right?
right. I said, I'm just going to like them and wait till we get our film up. It's
Right.
going to get up. And most people take 7 to 10 years to get this stuff up and going. Like with, what's her name? Was ABC, How to Get Away with Murder. The
Mm-hmm.
reason why she left, because I was studying the business, is that she doesn't get any points from ABC. She don't
Mm-hmm.
own the name. She don't own her
Mm-hmm.
stuff that she wrote about. What, 4, 5, 6 shows?
Yeah,
That's
and
why she left. She
that's interesting too when you think about these contracts. You started out by saying you had a lawyer and you had people sign things. People should read
yeah,
these contracts and understand what you're signing up for, right? And then
right,
that's an important point too. You know, sometimes you just get excited and not realizing that you're giving up
right.
everything that you own, right?
Guess you want the fame. Well, where I learned from is Mary Wilson. And you know, I shot all the Motown people. She
Mhm.
told me, "You too smart for this business. You shooting behind the scene." They told me everything. She told me, "Watch the contracts you sign always, because
Mhm.
they signed their contract and they none of the Motown people got any money."
Yeah, exactly.
And so
Exactly.
that's where I learned to get the contracts and let's have a business. Everybody know what they're
That's
doing and it's fair.
right.
You know,
So I
I'd
would
rather do
say,
it right.
I'm sorry, I was going to talk about the success of the show. Talk about, I mean, and I give one of you guys could give an overview of what the show is, and then talk about the success of the show and what's next in this whole world of creating this series.
Well, Danielle said, "Let's do a TV show." I was like, yeah, like, ah, and I don't know, but I didn't give up. I learned. I did it while she was working at Rikers Island. And so
Mhm.
I learned a lot of new business about feminine entertainment. I
Mhm.
remember what Mary Renson told me about the
Mhm.
business and
Mhm.
dealing with the, I
Mhm.
was a photographer to entertain. And I
Mhm.
always questioned, why do they not read their contracts? So I knew that was important. So
Mhm.
I knocked a knot, and we had a person at New York Women of Film. We asked, how much does it cost to do a short? you know? And she told us, and then I knocked a knot because the executive producer, Tracy Baker Sims. I said, Danielle, let's take our lunch. Danielle, like, why we gotta take our, we have to take our lunch because we needed someone in the entertainment business.
Mhm.
And soon as we came to lunch, she said, what do you want from me? I was like, oh, entertainment's a little rough.
Right.
And I said, because I wanted Danielle to meet you. I want to talk on what you bring you a part of what we're doing. And it took her a little while because she made us rewrite the script how many times, Danielle? So over and over again. And Danielle said, I'm not writing the script over again. She won't have to accept it how it is. Put the lesbian take out. She said, this script is good. Okay.
Mhm.
And then she said, well, we need to do a short to get it out.
Okay.
and we knew the timing because we had talked to other women in film. We
Mm-hmm.
knew the price, and so now this is after years and years. So I said, let me take my money out and save it most of because we spent the first fundraiser with legal. And
Okay.
I said, let me take my savings out and do the most. She put, you know, 1/3 in. I said, we're going to do this. And Tracy got us the professional filmers,
How many
top
years
notch.
have y'all? How many years has gone into this project?
What would you say?
About 12.
Yep, 12.
12 years. Wow, that's amazing, right?
Yeah, 12 years. Because Jillian Peak through different phases.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't involved in the first part of the phase.
Mm-hmm.
This was strictly her project, and she had two other people with her, a film guy um, and a writer who was writing down her life story as she told it to him,
Okay.
because it initially was supposed to be a book.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
And once it was written, they decided to write it as a script
Okay.
format
Mm-hmm.
instead of a book format. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, at that time, that's when the internet was really
Yeah.
opening up, and people were
YouTube.
able to
Yeah. Put
put their
stuff
own
up.
creative things on the internet, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
get a group of friends together, you got a handheld camera, and let's film, and they would put it on the on the internet. And there were some people that had some success with that. I mean, like Lisa Ray,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
that's a very good example of someone who had her own um, creative work
Right.
idea,
And it's success.
series, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
herself and a couple other people, and then it
Right. She
then
was
blossomed
successful
up
in that.
into something that turned into an HBO series. So,
Right. Yeah.
this is what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
But again, then there was some some
When
a
she got to,
team. Charlotte had got a team together of some people. One was working in the financial district. Another one used to work for
Chase,
um, uh,
Morgan Chase.
a um, a PBS show
Mm-hmm.
executive,
Mm-hmm.
someone with a TV background, and
Mm-hmm.
a lawyer friend, and that was the team. Um, and then that dissolved,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's when I came in to the picture to continue it, because, like I
Mm-hmm.
said, you have to get people to believe
Need a
in your
network.
story,
Yes, that's
and
the first part, right? Mm-hmm.
it's yeah, and uh, and keep the faith and keep moving,
Yep.
you
And that's
know,
what I did.
um, because you don't want to give up your rights to a lot of things. And so,
Mm-hmm.
because she didn't want to give up her rights to a lot of things, and we knew that uh, certain people were trying to take the project
Yep.
away from her, she
Mm-hmm.
had to let them go. And
Mm-hmm.
so, the team didn't feel
That we should have
that
listened
we
to
should have had done
our
that,
lawyer.
but our lawyer was like, listen, these people know better,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
and just tell them,
Thank you.
no, thank you, and have a nice day.
Right.
And
Right.
so then that's when I, stepped in. But yes, so that's why it took 12 years, because
But
it
it's
went through
right.
different developments,
I
Mm-hmm.
saved this. I
Right.
said, let
and the
me not.
writing,
Right, right.
Right. In
the
the right.
We
writing,
became the writer.
right,
Right.
and the
Right.
writing
Shifted
takes
it. Right.
Time.
time and development and movement, and then through networking you meet a lot of other people, and they read the script and says, well,
Hmm.
why don't you try
In
this,
the
why don't you try
entertainment
that, and
business.
this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, just trying to get to know people in the entertainment business. We
Mm-hmm.
did we had to do casting,
Yep.
our own first casting,
Mm-hmm.
because I have a person that I knew that was in the industry here in New York. So with
You did
that
the first
connection,
casting.
Hmm.
Was we was
So it
able to.
sounds like it was, as you said, networking, family, and
Yep.
friends, people that you
Yep.
knew really.
Yep.
It's important to that the people
Mhm.
that in your circle, networking
Yep.
and people that you know. What I want to shift a bit now and talk about your guys' spiritual journey. Uh,
Mhm.
what how did you grew up in church and what happened along the way and where you now? I heard because Danielle was saying faith and prayers, right? So as I heard that, I was like, so let's shift a bit and talk about your spiritual journeys.
Well, my spiritual journey, everybody have their own individual, was Baptist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
then once I took that class, I think me and you took that same class together. You know, it's about the spiritual journey within me and spiritual journey as a person. And I became a Buddhist. So I
Mm,
sit and chant, pray, and do Deepak Chokra meditation because when you dealing with things in life, you can either be sad, whether or not your health or your family, or you could put the spiritual practice in you because President Kato always say communicate and talk
mhm,
and never give up. So
mhm,
my chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and reading the writings, I never give up because I know if you keep going forward, you never see what's going to happen and come. If you keep positive energy within you, or we
mhm,
have a disagreement, I keep positive energy about it. I don't get angry and hate because, a lot of our families have been that you can't solve nothing with anger and hate.
right.
And that's one thing President Kagan said, always talk and work it out. As we as a human beings, it's always improvement that we can do for ourselves in any situation. How can you improve the situation?
Mhm, mhm,
And that's my belief from being a Buddhist and praying and being disciplined with it. Some people can just read the book and not put it in your life. If I don't put something good in my head,
mhm,
so when I'm dealing with the challenges,
mhm,
so I can see the light in the people, see what needs to be improvement. And I think that works for me in my practice because I believe it at a certain age. You
mhm,
always got to prove, it's always improvement that you can do for yourself.
mhm,
There's always stuff like I read your stuff in the morning,
mhm,
your messages. That's
mhm,
one of the things that I do to keep me, my mind right. I said, oh,
mhm,
that's she's right. That's
mhm,
nice. And
mhm,
so,
mhm,
you have to do that. I know a lot of stuff is around us people and family, so your mind can be clear.
mhm,
We lost a lot of people within
mhm.
this COVID,
Yeah,
and you should be lucky to be alive. Like
yeah.
she had COVID bad, and I
Mhm,
had COVID too, and she had cancer. Those illness, I have two strokes, and they
mm,
still work with me. Those illness, they call me you a miracle child. We
mm,
don't know how you live because
mm,
of the positivity that I keep within my heart about everything
mm,
around me, my
mhm.
environment. Because when you think about most leaders, whether or not it's Christ or Buddhists, they they love people. They love to communicate.
Yeah.
It
Mm,
wasn't about dialing and being angry. I'm a
mhm,
loving person. I'm not an angry person.
mhm,
So you, by bringing your stuff, Deepak Chopra stuff, me chanting, that's how I never give up.
mm. Yeah,
I
and
never give
that's
up with
really
my
cool
illness.
because we do talk about what keeps us going, what keeps us like with some joy. Because like I said, we all have access to joy, and how often do we access that joy, right?
Right,
And
right.
what supports us in accessing it? Because with everything around us, right, sometimes it gets
Yep,
really hard. So I
yep.
have consistent practices that I also do. What about you, Danielle?
Well, my mother comes from a Baptist background.
Okay.
She's from the South.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the 10th child of 12 sharecropper, you
Okay.
know.
Mm-hmm.
My father was Catholic. Never knew him to be a practicing Catholic because we never went to Catholic church and really never went to Baptist church. either.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where the spiritual background comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my parents thought it better for my brother and I to get um, a good, a better education by
Mm-hmm.
going to Catholic school.
Okay. Okay.
So that was second grade for me. That
Mm-hmm.
was my introduction to the Catholic religion.
Mm-hmm.
And by going to Catholic school, you wind up getting into the Catholic rituals of, communion and confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
And so uh, I think when I was about maybe in the seventh or eighth grade, I realized that I was just going to church, and going through the motions,
Mm.
just because
Just because. Right.
because I had always had questions, you
Yeah.
know, um, and I didn't have a problem with challenging the nuns and asking questions. Okay, so if it's Adam and Eve, where everybody else come from,
Mm-hmm. Right.
Get your
Mm-hmm.
hands spanked with the ruler. Did you get your hands spanked with the
No,
ruler?
no, I never got fingers. No, no, no. So I always had questions, about that.
Mm-hmm.
I have visited, Baptist church, and I like the Baptist church. I love the singing, the choir. I love the songs,
Mm-hmm.
the music, because everything is so melodramatic. This is like in a Catholic church,
Right. Right. Right.
where the Baptist church is
You
really
up?
lively.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was raised Baptist.
you
My whole
know,
family.
and you can get into the
All
spirit,
day.
and
Yeah.
every,
All
and
day.
stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was something more that I wanted to discover,
Mm.
spiritually, about myself. So I think after eighth grade, you know, I wasn't going to church on Sunday, and if I did, it was just, um, holidays like Christmas, Easter,
Mm.
something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Through my high school, wasn't involved in any church or anything like that. Um, but then, I found an interest in, the Eastern philosophy
Mm-hmm.
of life, religion, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Buddhism,
Mm-hmm.
She found that through me
but
over Shannon.
I never, during my early 20s and 30s, I never, would even think about, because when I looked at the study of Buddhism,
Mm-hmm.
what did you see the what do you call it, Hare Krishnas in the
Right.
subway, right? In the
Right.
subway,
I know. I know. I
and the
remember that scene.
monasteries,
Right in New York City,
yeah,
they were on the
All
street.
day
right,
like the
Right.
Baptist.
right.
Right.
And they used to flood the subways, during
Yeah.
the 80s and 90s. You see them all around. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not gonna shave my head off. I'm not going to some mountain, doing all that. And
And yeah, I know, right? Yeah, the
but
whole image
but
of that.
but you can
Yeah.
see the peacefulness over them. You can see this
Mm-hmm.
peacefulness, you know, over them. This
Mm-hmm.
pure. I mean, natural pureness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I guess that comes from their times of meditation and stuff. And I
Mm-hmm.
started getting into meditating and doing
Mm-hmm.
yoga, and I felt, a change in my body, and my mind was clear and
Mm-hmm.
everything, especially after coming from the war and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I met Charzette, and she was chanting, I was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And she says, "Oh, I'm I'm a member of SGI. Um, this a lay Buddhist organization." I said, "Oh, I said I want to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how I became a Buddhist, and what they call, she's Shakabuku,
Yeah,
me, the
for
way
her.
she introduced me into
Buddhism.
the
SCI.
SGI, which is a
Mm-hmm.
lay organization of Buddhist lay believers that follow the teachings of Nichiren Daishonin.
Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like me, I grew up Baptist in the church all day. That's
Mm-hmm.
a question. Why am I in the church all day? I question, why is the trade coming around 6 times. And
Mm.
when I got here, because I was going to uh, a church in Michigan that what's her name, and he passed. Wayne Dryer went to. I
Mm.
liked it because they talk about things with life. I wanted to find a church when I came here, but they
Mhm.
were saying Baptist all day, stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then I had lost my job. Me and this lady used to take the bus every day,
Mhm.
and we both lost our job the same day. She said,
Mhm.
I want you to come by the SGI Booths. Let's chat. I said, oh, you mean I'm no Hope Ray Gagan like Tina Turner? She said,
Right.
yes.
That's
And
what
so
it
that's how I became a Buddhist, to
is.
understand what President K is saying, because I couldn't do Baptist anymore. I need that the religion, like Wayne Dyer, he relates to what's happening in your life and what you should do to improve it, because it all starts with you.
Yeah,
It's all start
absolutely.
with you, what you think. It all starts with you, with your happiness. And most people don't realize
Mhm.
that, they're unhappy.
Mhm.
And you have to fix that yourself.
Mhm.
And most religion, like Christians and them, they would tell you you're happy and your God and your Christ. But
Mhm.
we don't look at it. We be in, I'm unhappy, this happened to me, let's blame you. And I wanted what's come that said it starts with you. How you gonna change it? How you gonna make the happiness?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's why I became an SJ. I said it's good enough for Tina Turner and good enough for me. Look what she accomplished when she changed. She kicked Ike out the car and she got moving.
Yes, it worked
And
for her, right? Yes.
I think a lot of us, you know, like Karen Hunter say, the slavery, and we separate ourselves as
Mhm.
black people within the family.
Mhm.
And I test the Buddhism out by talking to my aunts so they can all get together. And
Mhm.
so it's about loving one another. It's
Mhm.
about being family. It's not about I can't speak to you because you did so and so. As we in this COVID, we should be thankful to be alive. You should be thankful to have family. People should be thankful to talk, because that's what most of the great leaders do. To have the conversations
I
with
think
people
that,
going water.
well, now that I am, because I'm an interfaith minister, so I study all religions, and I did, experienced all of them as we studied them. And now I've been studying the Bible, right? And studying it from this mindset and this space is very different from the way
Yep,
when you were growing up, how they read it
yep,
to it, and it is
yep,
a wisdom text. There's some really good stuff in there, right?
yep,
About how to live your life. Very positive. The things you say, it comes from with you. It's all about love, how you treat
yep,
people, right? And you find all of that in the Bible. But we got tainted, I guess, because it was like kind of like
yep,
fire and brimstone. You're going to
yeah,
hell,
yeah. They
right?
will feel it wrong. You got to
Right.
do this, and then, you know,
And
it's
so,
like when I had my candy. They give you money for the church when you stop at the store and you get your candy. Don't put it in the church. Yeah,
right, and
it's
so,
not about judging people. It's about loving and helping people.
right, exactly. And from that experience, I think it takes a lot. Now, even for me, I'm really enjoying this Bible study and really getting into it, as opposed to like the first mind is like, oh, these Christians, or oh, the Bible, that kind
Yep,
of thing.
yep, yep.
It's a whole different approach, right? A whole different mindset
Mhm.
about just the wisdom that's in the Bible and
Yep.
being able to take that
Mhm.
aside from all the religion. Now, I am so in love with the pastor at First Corinthian Baptist Church, right?
Okay.
Waldron. Oh, he has if you want to talk about somebody that takes Christianity and the Bible and turns it into how to live your life, he is awesome, right? And we have
Wow.
been going to the church down there before COVID. We would go to the church and the choir. I mean, you go to this church, you do praise and worship, and then you get like an excellent message that'll take you out. but now he's on the internet and so powerful. Every time I pull up one of his messages, I'm sharing it like with 10 people, right? Because just because his messages are so powerful and so about living your life today as it relates to the Bible. So I love that he can bring that forth because I went to a lot of churches too, and I went and I sang in choirs, but I never connected with the message, the
Yeah.
minister, the church part. I would go sing, and that would be the good part for me, right?
Right.
They're like, what you saying? The train come around 5 times. What's going on?
And but I also found unity, which is a powerful, great Christian based fellowship because they come from positive point of view. Unity always talks about the good news and everything, right?
Yeah.
And I appreciate that approach. If you're gonna go to church and Christian church, unity for me was really good as a Bible based place where they also talk about how to live your life. And I think that's what we look for in all these teachings is
Yeah.
how do we live our lives, right? And I like that there's so many options that we're not stuck. And that's a part of what I like to share. When I talk about spirituality and what's in your spiritual toolkit, it's like practical, right? If we can really look at the teachings and have them work in our everyday life. And I know without knowing, we do anyway. You guys went to the Baptist church, the Catholic church. I'm sure all of that is still within you and you still practice some of those principles.
Yep, I do.
Yep, that you learned.
I do.
Yeah,
Because that's how I survived my
right.
life.
Exactly.
I lost all my family, so I have to pull on those spiritual toolkits. I like you when you say toolkits
Mhm.
because that's what people don't realize. The spiritual toolkits that you read or you talk has helped you in your whole life.
Yeah,
Some
exactly. And
things
that's what I
you
would
can't
say,
forget.
those practices that your go-to practice. Then yeah, she mentioned faith and she mentioned prayer. What would be your top practices? I know you guys chant, but what other practices are in your own personal toolkit?
By understanding people's hearts, understanding
That's
and connecting to people. Because when you don't want to connect,
mm-hmm.
you don't understand people. You can
Mm-hmm.
understand what they're dealing with and how to approach it and give advice.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the main thing that spirituality wants us to is connect
Connect. That's
and
beautiful.
understand people. And I
Mm-hmm.
read my mom's Bible that she left me
Mm-hmm.
certain patches for to shield myself,
Mm-hmm.
protect myself, and
Mm-hmm.
know that nothing will stop me from what I want to do because I have the spirit behind me. No matter how mean and evil people are me or dislike me, I know better to not to go down that negative energy field
Mm-hmm.
because that negative energy field, even President Kato said, will just we got 10 levels. You can raise from 10 or you can raise from 1. So
Mm-hmm.
I keep those patches that my mother said. I read President Cato. I read you.
Mm-hmm.
I do Deepak Chopra meditation because all this stuff helped me deal with. I see the therapist
Yeah, yeah, that's
because all
oh
these
God, we
patches.
could have a whole series on mental health, right? What about you, Danielle? What are your top practices?
um, Quiet in my mind.
Yeah, yeah, because oh
Quiet
man,
in the mind. Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
I know
You
that's
have
what I
to.
was
You
saying.
have
Like
to.
even with me today, my mind was just like, "Ugh," right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah, with
uh,
COVID. You know, and I
You
all
take.
went to sleep today because of COVID. A lot of my friends in Detroit, it's getting COVID now. They be
yeah,
like, I
and
got COVID,
COVID
I'm
is
ready to sleep.
back, right? Oh my God, COVID
Like
is
it's
back.
back. It's
I mean,
back.
never left, but
Right.
the numbers are going up. It's like, what is going on, right? It's just
Because
that.
we ain't listening as people. We're not listening. We
Well,
think
if you right. Well, if you look at back at pandemics, um,
right.
they don't disappear overnight.
They don't.
They don't.
And I know that you know, the confinement was hard
Mm-hmm.
for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and but
We need to combine it to work on us. Okay, to work on
so
the
so
family
once they said, they started dropping the masses, right?
because they want to make money and greed.
So you was already having a problem of people just getting the regular COVID
Shot.
vaccine,
Right.
and then the first booster that came out,
Right.
and then businesses were hurting, the economy and everything was backed up just crazy. So now, this is really the first year that people can be out, right?
Yeah.
Go to events and so on.
Yeah.
And like I used to work in Flushing, Queens. I used to teach driving lessons out in Flushing, Queens. And when you walk around in Flushing, which is heavily populated by Asian people, they all got the mask on.
Yeah.
And people used to say, I don't know
then,
why they wearing the mask.
even
Even if
before
you see
then,
them,
they had their mask.
Yeah. Yeah.
even if you see them
Before.
on the subway heading out to
Mhm.
Flushing,
Mhm.
they have their mask on. You be
Yeah.
like, why
They
they have the
had
mask
it
on?
on before
And
then.
now you see why, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We saw it.
And,
That's true. They wore the mask.
Right.
Yeah.
and they even stopped, and they even stopped, checking people if they have been
Right.
vaccinated or not when you go into restaurants and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And so
Everything.
everybody is
I wish
like,
Cuomo was back. Cuomo had it down.
Yeah.
Everybody was watching him to
so
save
yeah,
us.
so
He need to come back and put some mandates in
Right. Yeah.
because Bill Gates said we're not gonna be out this to 2023.
Mm.
so just like any virus, right? Like just like the flu, right? Every year you actually get a shot. Why? Because it
Me.
regenerates itself,
Yeah.
right? Once our system gets the code to fight it, right? The virus is going to
Yeah.
find a new way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
And so it's going to be around. It's
Mm.
not as I mean, with the exception of RSV for the children,
But now
I think
adults
that's
get
the COVID version for the kids.
kids.
Oh, I
Right?
didn't even put those two together because my grandson
Yeah,
And
had
all
RSV.
three of
because
these affect the lungs.
right,
COVID,
it's
flu affects the lungs, and
Mm.
RSVP.
but because so many children are getting this now,
Yeah.
and to me that's the children's
Version.
version of going through
Yeah.
the COVID.
Wow.
This is going to be with us for a long while.
Mm.
Even though it's not as serious when it first onset, only because the medical world was unprepared
Right.
and did not understand how to battle. They didn't even understand what was going on. It was like, okay, it's like almost influenza, but
Right, like
this is something,
Right.
it's it's this, building mucus and just drowning the person,
Mm.
and so once because they have a grasp on it now and they know which medications can help, you know, it's a little bit better.
and general people
But
who had it first said ginger, lemon, and tea.
this is going to be around.
And other what's called. It's
This
going
is
to
going to
be
be
around
around
for a
for a
while.
while.
We got to take care of Mother Earth.
And
We haven't taken care of Mother Earth.
like I told people, I see every year when you get the flu shot, you're gonna, you should get a booster shot. But it's
Mm.
gonna be around for it's not gonna disappear overnight.
Right. Because my butcher had 2 shots and 4 boosters already.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like my friends didn't want to get their boosters. And so my family, they wind up with COVID.
Mm.
And that's why being around people, you need the N95 mask.
Right. Well, I never took my mask off, so I feel, okay about still wearing it. People just like complain, I hate it, I hate it. Well, I never took it off, so it's a part of my life. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is part of everybody. Like when she first got it the first time, I had it too. And I took care of her. I was worried about her dying.
Mhm.
But we both say it's not if, but when you would get COVID.
Yep. And I got COVID too in the summer after all. I'm 2 whole years of not getting it. And then one weekend in Dayton, Ohio, you know? So, well, it's been great having you ladies on tonight. Thank you for
Oh, thank
joining
you.
me. It's been a wonderful conversation. And how can people find you guys and find the short?
Info at Jill and Pete.
Hmm.
I'll text you.
Okay, and then they could go on YouTube and find the
No,
first production.
info at Jill and Pete. The first trailer is
Okay.
on JillandPeteTV.com.
Oh, okay.
JillandPeteTV.com.
Gillian Peak TV. Okay. Great. Well, thank you guys and happy holidays.
Well,
It's the
thank you.
holiday season.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I will definitely totally be in touch with you guys.
Will do.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you so
Thank
much.
you. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Conversation with Reverend G.
Yep.
Yes.
GGG.
All right.
Who you
Thanks.
want to be? All
Okay.
right.
All right. Thank you for joining me tonight on Conversations with Reverend G. I'm here every Monday night live, WEMS Radio. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. So join me each week where I have guests from all walks of life with different perspectives. We talk about love, we talk about life, and we talk about spirituality. You can also find me every day as Reverend Grenetta Mason on Facebook and Rev Grenetta on Instagram with inspirational messages to support you in living your best life. As I've said, we all have access to joy. And my hope is that I can support you in accessing your joy and living your best life with grace and ease. I'll see you again next week right here at 8 o'clock p.m. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday week.